All right, it's going to be one of those days. I'm flying solo. No KV today. It's just all Marquee. Man, that beat is so nice. I say that every week. Special guest today, big time. And when I say big time, I get emails and people ask me about different things, different people. You wanted baseball, you got baseball. Special guest today, Dustin Aaron Mosley.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
It's all good, man. So, Dustin, let me give everybody a little brief background. 2000 first round pick, 34th overall. You still remember the guys before you and after you?
Not really.
Don't remember it at all. Okay, because I watched some video that you had a little family over.
Yep.
The agent was over. Somebody interviewed you in 2011 when you were with the Padres.
Yep.
2010 to 11. You were with the Padres, and they were asking you about the draft, and you thought you went 33rd or 32nd. It was a Dustin guy.
Dustin McGowan.
Yeah, Dustin McGowan.
I remember that part. Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
all right.
yeah, for sure.
So you don't really remember that, but I mean, like when you're a high school kid, you don't expect to go first round, do you?
I mean, this thing happened my junior summer. I got found and got asked to go and try out for a White Sox area code team.
Right.
Alex Flattery was like a bird dog scout at the time, and
right.
He asked my parents in North Little Rock, saw me play along with a couple other players, and wanted to know if he could load us up in his 4Runner the next day. I think it was the next day, and take us. My dad was like, "Hold on, dude. I don't know who you are.
I don't know who you are." Yeah.
We're gonna have to figure this thing out. And so, anyways, he allowed me to go. I went down there and I tried out, and then they called me and told me I made the team. And then I went to Long Beach. I don't know how many weeks after it was. Would have to look at it. But I went to Long Beach, and by the time I got home, there were like 14, 15 phone calls from Division I schools. So it went from like nothing to like on the radar to then they're starting to project me to be a first-round draft pick. Yeah. I mean, my dad came up to me. I remember I was shooting hoops outside.
Yeah.
And he comes out and he said, "Hey, you want to get a new truck?" And I was like, "What?" Like, Dad, you don't ever offer to buy me anything because you don't have any money, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, they're projecting you to go in the first round." I was like, "I'm good, Dad. I like the truck I have, man. I'm fine with it."
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't. So when you got drafted, again, I watched some little video.
Yeah.
So I understand you know it was a little money situation going on,
Right.
Because you chose to go to the pros as opposed to go to college.
Yeah, and people ask me, would I have made a different decision? I would have never made a different decision. The decision was made. I prayed about it. I got the answer. And then later on in my life, things that happened with my family, if I wouldn't have had that money, our family wouldn't have been supported.
Yeah. Now, okay, so Tori's a good friend of mine. Tori was a first-round draft pick as well. Tori talked about what he did when he got his signing bonus. Helped family, paid off some bills because he knew he was going to go through the minors. And when he got his money, he was going to say, "Look, I already helped you guys."
Right.
So when you got your signing bonus,
Yep.
Did you do the same thing, or did you just say?
I did. I tied 10% of it, so I think I cleared like 600. I gave 60,000 to 30,000 to two different churches that I went to. One that I went to with my mom growing up, and then I had like my youth church that I went to at Sunday night, Wednesday night, things like that. I took care of my parents. I paid off the house loan for them. I bought myself a Yukon, brand new.
All the baseball guys get Yukon trucks.
Yeah, I thought I was pretty slick, but that was kind of part of it. And I mean, that is just when you're gifted with something like that from a monetary standard, when God gives you things like that, I think that it's your responsibility to take care of those that have taken care of you. Now, not to allow other people to take advantage of you. Like Tori said, he kind of set the tone. But for your people that had your back all the way through, if they're in need, you got to take care of them.
You got to take care of them. So you didn't make your major league debut until 2006.
Yes.
So for the first 6 years, you're in the minors.
Yep.
What is it that people don't know about the minors? Because we hear signing bonus, I'm thinking, okay, in 2000 you had $6K sitting in your bank account, $600K sitting in the bank account, and then 2002 you was doing what?
Yeah, so my first year I went to Dayton, Ohio, and I had two other roommates there. And
that's the A-ball, right?
That's A-ball.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I started A-ball. I didn't have to go to rookie ball.
I was about to say, what happened with rookie ball?
I got to jump rookie ball. Yeah.
Wow.
I got to jump rookie ball.
You had it like that.
Yeah, I was more accelerated for sure.
Okay.
Out of high school, I think Baseball America ranked me as like closest to the major leagues or something like that.
Okay.
So I could pitch. I commanded the zone through strikes. But yeah, I went to Dayton, Ohio. The next year I was in Stockton, California. The next year I was in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Split between that and Louisville, Kentucky. The next year I went back to Chattanooga, split with Louisville, Kentucky.
Wow.
And then I got traded to the Angels, and that was in Salt Lake City. But the minor leagues is people think that. They say you have all this money, and it's great and all these kind of things. But I'm an 18-year-old kid coming from Texarkana High School,
right,
where there's not a whole lot of people there, to Dayton, Ohio, with 10,000 fans. They're sold out every single year. Every year, every night. And so now you're having to do that. But most of these players are college players.
Yeah.
I'm a Southern Baptist kid from
Texarkana.
Nothing, you know.
Right.
My parents bought our house for $4,000. You know, like I never had anything really. I mean, I always had enough, but nothing more than that. But you just don't know, and you kind of learn. Luckily, my foundation was solid. Being brought up, my mom and dad very, hardcore. My dad was a very disciplinarian type of, mentor to me. Right. And then growing up in the church, I had a nice foundation. So when all these things started coming my way, I didn't want any part of it because it just really didn't fit with who I was.
Yeah, because I was going to say, when you're in the minors, a lot of players, man, they make that bad decision. They do those things that they shouldn't be doing, and different things come at you. But you were disciplined enough because you had the background and the base that it didn't bother you. Okay, so you're in the minors. Are they really long road trips?
Oh, yeah.
Just
Stunk.
2 hours, 3 hours on the bus, 5 hours on the bus.
No, more.
8 hours on the
more.
bus. 10 hours on a bus?
For sure.
Dude, stop it.
Yes.
What do you do for 10 hours?
You're sleeping on the floor. You would take turns. You have people, your sitting mate or whatever. Mm-hmm. One of us would be on the floor, the other one have our feet across the seat. So one up top, one down low. Yeah, for sure.
All these guys with all this money, y'all can't get any better than the bus?
I mean, it may be better now, but when I was coming up, Stockton, California, I remember that particular. It's like, I don't want to disrespect Stockton, but it's not a great place to be. Maybe it's grown, but for us, it was tough. We had buses that didn't have AC on them, smoking hot. Yeah.
Just riding.
Just riding.
That's
and you're sleeping in your underwear.
That's way too much,
for
man.
sure.
So tell me about this major league debut, 2006. I mean, you got to be excited, man. First of all, let me say this. Here's what I don't like about the Reds. Let me stand on my soapbox for a minute. The Reds drafted you in the first round.
Okay.
A few years later, they got Travis Wood from Bryant. Mm-hmm. I remember Travis going through Dayton. I remember all that because he got hurt trying to throw the curveball from a different angle, left-handed. Here's the problem with the Reds draft all this talent, and they're never really that good. Why? They get rid of all the good players.
But I feel like the upper management changes a lot.
Uh-huh.
They got a lot of turnover up there, and it all starts from the top. But you have to have an organizational policy of a true philosophy of what you're trying to get to. And when it's changing all the time, you're trying to re-implement it. It's like a coach coming in, coach to Arkansas, right?
Yeah.
Going to coach some football now. You have to now implement, get your guys, get your system in place. You got to get all that kind of stuff. So it takes time, and when you're always changing like that and then turning it over, and you don't have somebody that's kind of leading it, that's the problem.
But you think they would know that? Like these Major League Baseball franchises, you would think they know that.
Yeah, but you've met a lot of people that have been successful that aren't that smart too, right?
I have.
Right, or they just fall into it just right.
In the right place and got the right amount of money.
I've met a lot of people. I've had major league coaches. I've had minor league coaches that were incredible, and I've had them where I wouldn't even let them teach my kid.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
they're that bad.
There's some of them that are pretty bad. Yeah, they don't even know how they did it. They just knew how to do it.
It's wild. Okay, so let me get back on my soapbox. I have a problem with pitchers because you were a pitcher.
Yep.
And by the way, Dean, can we get some video of him pitching? I don't think it's on YouTube. So I have a problem with pitchers. Now, when you pitch, guy hits the ball, goes yard. I saw Anderson, kid from White Sox, hit one. Mm-hmm. He sits there and he looks at it. You don't ever really know if it's going over the fence yet. So a lot of times they hit it. Pitchers hate when they stare at it. But when pitchers strike guys out, they walk around the mound, they pump their chest, they pull their shirt out, they take their hat off. I mean, it's like a song and dance. So, like, why do you get to do the song and dance, but the hitter doesn't?
Are you a hitter?
No.
That's a hitter question.
No, man. No, not at all, man.
Here's a bullpen session from
that was on when I was coming back from my shoulder surgery.
Let me make sure I'm sharing our screen. Here we go.
Yeah, I got to see this.
Here we go.
Yeah,
so where was this?
This was at Dickie Stevens.
Oh, okay.
Is there volume for this video?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So you were. This was a Dickie Stevens, clearly Double A for the Angels.
This is 2014. I was basically just throwing for scouts.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was in July.
Wow.
Something like that.
Okay.
So yeah, it took me 2+ years to recover from that shoulder surgery.
Is that bad?
Yeah, it was. I tore my cuff, my rotator cuff, my labrum, and my capsule.
Yikes.
Yeah, but let's get back to
Let's
your
get back
question.
to so come on and tell me now why.
So you have to take into the context of the situation of what's going on. So you bring up what
Anderson,
and I saw that, and that was like second inning, like a 2-run bomb,
right?
And as a hitter, when you hit it, you know you got it. You know, like you can hear it off the bat if you've gone enough games.
But look at what Ronald Acuna did a couple of weeks ago. He hit one. He thought it was gone. He tried it.
Right.
It hit off the wall. He got benched because he didn't leg out a double. I think he got thrown out at second, trying to make it a double.
It happens sometimes, but that one, I mean, that was way back. Like he knew he got it, right?
Yeah,
and the pitcher know you know it. When you hit it off the bat, you're like, oh, that's not good,
right?
So it's all about like the situation. Now, if you hit a walk-off home run, then you can do whatever you want to do.
Right.
If you hit a big-time home run in a big situation,
do whatever you want to do.
Then I get it, right? But the repercussions of you doing that may get the guy behind you hit, or they may wait till it comes back to you. No, there were arguments down in the dugout in the minor leagues where guys would pimp home runs, and then the guy behind them would get drilled, and they'd almost fight in the dugout. They're like, man, run the bases. Just
really?
Yeah.
So your teammates will tell you
for
that.
sure, but it depends on who you are, right? Everybody has a different flair and their style. As my dad always told me, he said, act like you've done it before.
Right.
You don't have to do anything. You know, just
Big Poppy. But see, Big Poppy to me, he stared at him.
Well, Big Poppy can, right? Like who are some of these guys? Like you know, like I'm not a 10-year vet, but I know that.
Sorry about that.
Uh-oh.
Internet started playing.
Yeah, there we go. All right, go ahead.
But you know, once you've established yourself in the league, not that you want to disrespect other players, but if you want to add that to whatever it is, then that's fine. But you know, a lot of the Latin countries, their style of play is that show up everybody, right?
Really?
And people call it fun, right? If you grow up that way and that's all you know, then that's fun for you.
That's fun for you.
But if you grow up where you respectful of your opponents, think about Japan baseball and Dominican Republic baseball.
Right, it's
completely
different, right?
Right? I mean, the guys in Japan hit you and they you know, I'm sorry. You know, they're like, I didn't try to hit you type of thing.
My bad.
Right?
Yeah.
And so those are the things just depending on the situation. Now, if a pitcher is punching a guy out in the second inning with nobody on and he's fist pumping off the field, then yeah, as soon as you hit a home run off of him, fist pump and make fun of him.
Fist pump and make fun of him.
Yeah, make fun of him. But some of these guys, I see it, they say, man, it's just fun. It's fun for you watching it, but when you're the guy giving it up, it's not fun for you.
Yeah.
And when they do it and then they show you up, that's what we call it, show you up, then you might get one in the numbers.
Okay, so here's the thing. So people watching baseball, because I get this a lot. People watching baseball, because my kid plays baseball. You know, he works out with Proformance. So when people watch baseball, they say, wow, baseball's boring. How does your kid play baseball? I said, well, it's not boring to him because, you know, they're watching signs, they're looking at things going on. So when people say that about baseball, and then you see somebody hit a home run and somebody get beamed and the fight start, for people who looking for that entertainment, that's what they like to see. But for people who play the game, you're like, wait, you don't get it. That's not good.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I used to say that about hockey till I went to a hockey game.
Right.
Like I didn't understand it.
Right. So you want to see the fights when you don't know.
Well, for sure, because you don't understand it.
Right.
But then I had a friend that knew all about hockey and taught me how it's played, and started to understand the substitutions and how it's supposed to be played. And then you say, okay, this is chess. Right? This is a lot of things going on. The same thing with baseball. If you don't understand it, didn't grow up with it, you might not have respect for it.
Right.
Or some of the other sports, football, basketball, you just get out there and you know it's you can just play. There's not a whole lot of strategy in the sense of if you're just picking up the game like a playground. Where if you're playing a game of wiffle ball, you might be like, hey, stay at first. Right? And I'm gonna hit this through the hole. Like, stay at second. We got the big hitter
Big
up,
hitter's coming
and
up.
he's gonna hit a home run, right? Or hey, go ahead and try to steal that bag.
Right.
Now we're at second. Now, hey, I'm gonna try to hit this ball to the right side, move him over. We only have one out, and then we got Big Bopper coming up, and he can drive you in. Right. So there's a lot of strategy, and there is in other sports too. But most people don't know baseball or hockey or golf or some of these other ones if you haven't played it. Right? But most everybody has played basketball or football at some point in the South.
And so deal with the myth, because there's a myth that baseball players aren't athletic. I know that's not true because
Right.
I know some baseball players who play basketball. They're just the number 1 draft pick this year in football. Kyler Murray was a baseball player.
Right.
So just some perspective of people who don't think baseball players are athletic. Like you guys do other things.
Well, I put it in perspective. Buddy Black with San Diego and Soch used to do something to this similar to this, and Buddy maybe got some from Soch, but we would have these little things in spring training games. And one of them we had, it was like a throw a football, we had a basketball, shooting competition. We had all these competitions, and then you had it all together.
Right.
And I remember when the first time we did it, everyone was throwing the football, and you had to hit these targets, and I was amazed that everybody could throw these footballs so well. Like everybody that got in it, for the most part, everybody. And then we went to the basketball, and everybody, when they shot, they looked like they played basketball. So you're just like, whoa, like I'm not the only good athlete.
Right.
But I don't know why they say that. They say that about pitchers too, because most of the pitchers that make it to the major leagues were your third basemen and shortstops in high school.
Really?
Yeah. Most all of them.
Because I was going to ask, for some strange reason, you throw pitches, you would think pitchers are the best hitters.
Yeah.
Like every time a pitcher gets up, which is why I'm not a big National League fan. Because the National League, the pitcher has to hit.
Right.
So, but every time the pitcher gets up to hit, they strike out. I mean, rarely do you find a pitcher that can hit.
Well, that's twofold, right?
Okay.
One, you're practicing pitching way more than you are hitting.
Practicing hitting.
Right.
Okay.
And the other thing is that they don't want you to practice too much hitting, because let's say you get a blister on your throwing finger.
True.
Right. Let's say you strain an oblique. Let's say you do anything from doing all this rotational swing work. Right.
Gotcha.
You have that part. The other part is those pitchers in the big leagues are so good that if you're not hitting and practice hitting every single day,
right,
it's almost impossible. All right, so take it for this. Anthony Rizzo came up his first year in 2012 or 2011.
The Riz, the first baseman for the Cubs.
Stud.
Right?
Look at his numbers his first year. That's the difference between AAA and the big leagues.
Wow.
I mean, he had like you have to look at it. I don't want to. Is a $170?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Can you look that up, D? Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah.
Rizzo.
Struggled, you know, because it's hard, and these pitchers are
from AAA to, because I heard AAA is right there with the majors. But if you're good in AA, you're ready. Because Mike Trout was here at AA, at AA Dickey Stevens Park, and went straight up to the Angels.
Yeah, you see that a lot. AA straight to the big leagues.
Yeah. So some players skip AAA because AAA is where it's like salary, right?
Yeah, they all are, but
Okay.
some of your bigger salaries, guys with big league time are going to make more money, and they come down, and they want to fill that AAA system up in case guys get hurt. So they got some guys with major league experience.
Gotcha.
Because when you come up and you don't have major league experience, it's the same game, right? The same field,
game,
but it's different.
The pitchers are that good.
It not only is it that, but there's all these unwritten rules you don't know as a major leaguer of the professionalism that you have to come with, and you've never been taught it.
Right, like you can't run across the mound. So if I'm running the first, I get thrown out. My dugouts on the third base side, so I can't run across, because that's what A-Rod did a couple of years ago. Tried to run across the mound.
Right.
Apparently, that's a no in the majors.
Man, you have all that room to run, and you want to run across the mound. He was just being a dick. Yeah.
So you got players like that. That's
For
just,
sure. He said he was trying. What is it, Dallas Braden pitching? He's just trying to get. He was trying to get in his head. That's all.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
See, A-Rod don't strike me as that type of guy. He's one of those guys where you think, everybody thinks, oh man, he's doing that on purpose. But he didn't strike me as the guy that's smart enough to go.
Oh, he's very smart.
Is he?
Yeah, he's very smart.
So did you play with him?
played 2010.
I know you played with him at the Yankees.
Yeah. Look at the success he's had post baseball. He's a super smart dude.
Wow. See,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so as a player, what there are teams that you want to play for and teams that you like. If it was me, of course, I'm a Yankees fan, so I'm always going to want to play in the Bronx.
Yep.
But there are teams that I would never ever want to play for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
If you were stuck in AAA for 7 years, would you play for the Arizona Diamondbacks?
Probably then.
All right.
Okay, so you don't care where, but if it's that's the situation.
No, it doesn't. Any situation. I mean, unless you're just a super stud, but you don't care. You think that you could go into any of those teams, right? And you want to go and compete, and maybe next thing you know, you help build that franchise.
Right.
It starts with a core amount of players.
Right.
The Yankees did it for forever.
Here's something I just learned about baseball. You guys like they borrow players. The trade deadlines come and gone. So I just found this out like a couple of years ago. There are teams. What's this? What's Aroldis Chapman? When the Cubs won it, did they have it when the Cubs won it? I think they traded before the deadline, got Aroldis Chapman from the Yankees. At the end of the year, won the series. At the end of the year, come back, and he's back with the Yankees. So they some commentator was like, well, they borrowed him.
Well,
So teams actually will. I would say, well, let me get Dustin because I got a playoff run. I'm about to make I got a chance to make the series.
right.
So let me get Dustin, and then at the end of the year, you go back and sign back with the team you were with.
Well, you could. He was a free agent, so he's going to sign with whoever he wants to. So that was the best offer, and that's where he wanted to go. So borrowing players, I guess people can call that, but you're giving up some pretty valuable players to get Aroldis Chapman.
Yeah,
Some prospects that could eventually be Aroldis Chapman.
But it just seems like with the way they trade prospects around. I know Smoke.
Dustin Smoke. Justin. Yeah.
Justin. He was traded around a couple of times if I remember, and before he made his Mariners debut.
Right.
So, but they said he was a stud.
Yep.
So if you got a stud, why is the stud not coming up, fast tracking him up to the majors?
Well, I mean, he played first base, so maybe they had
Plenty of first basemen.
people in front of him.
Yeah.
It's a numbers game.
You can't even if they're first baseman, can you not? I mean, you should be athletic enough to play wherever they need you to play if you're that good.
Well, you can try, but some of the minor league teams don't force people to play other positions. So all they know is first base. So now you're going to ask them to come to the big leagues and play a position they haven't played before.
Gotcha.
It's already intimidating enough.
Yeah.
Now you got to play a position you don't know. That's tough.
Okay, so let's move from the majors. You're out of baseball now, and then you're sitting around. You got tens of millions sitting in the bank, and you got to figure out.
I wish you didn't look at my contracts very well, did you?
No, I didn't do it. But I used to do Corliss like that all the time. I remember when Corliss Williamson was getting ready to retire. He did my radio show. He comes on the radio show and he goes, "Man, I just got to tell you something." I said, "What?" He goes, "I think I'm going to retire." I said, "You think?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Corliss, nobody says, I think I'm going to retire. They either are going to retire or they're not." He goes, "Yeah, but, man, the game is different now." I said, "You're tired of cashing $1 million checks?" Like, what? How's the game different? If you got a chance to play, then next year you should be playing. He was like, "No, just ain't in the old heart anymore." I was like, okay. So here you are. You go postseason. You got your money in the bank. You got it all figured out what you're going to do. You start Proformance. Where'd that come from? Whose idea?
Yeah, so that started, I think it was in 2005. I went to physiotherapy. Let's see here. Physiotherapy and Associates in Tempe, Arizona. Keith Coker owned the place. He may still own the place. And I got to see, they were physical therapists, but they had all these other pieces to it. And they had like a basketball hoop. They had cages outside. They had all this stuff. And I said, man, this is really cool. And after seeing how he worked with guys and how he was open to new ideas and new things, I said, man, I would really like to do this one day. Like, this would be fun, training athletes. But, especially I was thinking younger players too. If you train them, the younger guys, then we don't have to worry about it so much when they get older if they're doing it right and things. And so that's kind of where it started. And I told everybody, when I'm done playing, you can ask anybody close to me. And when I opened up Proformance, they were pumped because they were tired of hearing me talk about it. So I had that. It started a long time ago. I knew I wanted to come back. I wanted to serve, the kids. I wanted to serve and give my experience and the education in baseball. But the other thing, too, is I've got a high school education. So all I've known is baseball. Right? I mean, I'm a reader, and I did everything, on the way, but I never went back to school. So I said, you know what? I'm going to try this idea and model. And I threw it to a couple guys, a couple that had facilities. And they told me that the way I was going to do it wouldn't work. Well, we got two locations in 6 years.
Now, right?
I think it works.
I think it works pretty good.
Yeah.
So you start the Proformance, which if you haven't taken your kid to Proformance, if nothing else, take your kid to Proformance just for the experience, because I learned so much about when Justin started going there. You learn so much about practice habits, what not to do, the bands. That no one knows. I walked up there. Justin was throwing through these it was a tape on the net. It was in the squares. There was 3 squares, a small one, a medium one, a large one. And I go, what are you throwing through those squares for? Because you're hitting the net. He goes, wait a minute, outfield. I got to close where I'm throwing. So you start off with the big square. Make sure you hit the big square. And then you do the crow hop, and you got to throw it in the medium-sized square. He said because that work some more accuracy. I'm like, what?
That's right.
Who does that? Who comes up with all this?
We do.
That is wild, man.
Yeah.
I mean, just all the little things, the little nuances that people just don't know.
Right.
You come up with that on your own.
Yeah, well, you just start to have, you start understanding what players' needs are. You work with kids, and young adults, and you start to see, okay, where are they struggling? Well, they struggle with command, right? We'll use that part of it. So if I put up targets, so every throw they make, they have an intended target, and there's a goal, right? I'm trying to hit that target. Then next thing you know, man, they start to compete against themselves.
Right.
So that's what we want. We want them to set goals, whatever those goals may be, hit this target or reach this velo. Right. And once we set those goals and we have something that we're trying to achieve, the body's the most amazing machine, and the mind is too. Man. And you put those two together, and you start to get what you want out of it. We've seen it with Justin. We've seen it with a lot of players. What do we have him do? Create a journal. I want to know where you want to go to school. Right. You ask kids, yeah, I want to play college baseball. Where?
I don't know.
Oh, no. Okay, so if you want to go to Arkansas,
right,
or you want to go to Arkansas Baptist Junior College, right, that's two different levels of work and two different levels of skill. Right. Now, if you go to Arkansas Baptist, you may come out of there and be able to go to Arkansas if you practice enough and develop your skill. But we have to have an idea where we want to go. The other thing, when I tell them that, is figure out who are the coaches. I don't know. Who are some of the players? I don't know. I want you to take those 3 schools, 4 schools, wherever you want to go, and I want you to cut out the logo, their mascot, or whatever it is. Put it up in the mirror. Ooh, put it in your car. Now you're starting to think about where you want to go. Right? They talk law of attraction, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to get super, weird on anybody. Right. But there's a place where God wants to open up doors for you, but He's waiting for you to do the work. Right.
And I knew that about you, but a lot of people. So I'm trying to get people to understand, Dean. Like this, like his level of intelligence in this game.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so you literally make them keep a journal.
Oh
yeah.
I try to. I would say 10% of the players do it that I ask, and those 10% all go play college baseball.
And the funny thing about it is, like it's not one of those situations where you make somebody. Which is why I like it, because Justin, I used to always, growing up, I made him accountable for his own stuff. So I said, if you want to do this, then write down everything you got to do, the work you got to put in to do that, and you can go do it. So he started to get it a little bit, but it wasn't until he went to Proformance and Dustin was like, you want to throw hard? Throw hard. Do this, do that. And so he started going every day. He starts going every week, and then you start seeing the difference in the attitude, which is what – and it's more than just baseball. It's the attitude, because what people don't understand about baseball is life, you strike out, you fall down, you got to get back up. Baseball, you strike out. Sometimes you strike out 2 or 3 times. I've seen players strike out 3 or 4 times in a game, and then come back the next game and they go 3 for 4. And it's like, so you have to have that mindset where you forget everything when it's all over with, and that's the mindset you need in life.
That's right. There's no other sport that mimics life more than baseball. Right. I mean, you can get really deep with it, and you and I have some good conversations where you could get up to bat. The umpire already doesn't like your team, so they don't like you. Right. And those balls that should be balls that are borderline, they're getting called strikes. Right. And so what do you do about it? Do you cry about it? Nope. No, you dig back in. You say, okay, here's the zone. Here's what I'm playing with. And guess what? I'm going to get a base knock. I know I'm going to get it. Right. But that's where we change the mentality. That's where the culture, we call it in Proformance, is that everyone comes in there, right? And when you come in there, that's the great thing about Proformance and sports, period. Nobody cares where you came from, what you look like. It's all about who wants to put in the work. And if you put in the work in sports, people want you. Yeah. They're looking for skilled players. Yeah. So it's fair. And that way we get into it. So you come to me and say, hey, D, I can't afford this. That's okay. Right. Talk to me. Right. What can you do? Yeah. And what can you afford? Right. And I'll work with you. But if you're not ready to and willing to put the work in, then no. Yeah, it's a life. What I like about it is it's a life lesson. Like, kids don't just learn baseball, but they learn life lessons. That's right. So that's something that I wanted you to come on today to talk about. Just the life lessons that your kids will learn from just being a part of something that's going to hold you accountable. That's it. Because y'all don't let them just come in there and play around. If they're playing around, you'll say, hey, what are you doing? That's right. Oh, is that what you're doing? That's right. Oh, you need to be here if you can play. You can play at the playground. Right. Right. Yeah. We're here to get to work, but we want to make it fun. We want to set goals. That's why we have the shirts, 90 Mile an Hour Club. We give them free shirts if they reach certain goals. Yeah. That's all. out of the business people say, no, what we want to do is we want to get kids fired up about the game, right? We also want them to reach their level of potential. And the only way to do that is to hold them accountable, because sometimes mom and dad don't, right? And mom and dads don't even know how to hold themselves accountable. So now they're trying to teach these kids how to be accountable.
And that's where the problem starts.
That's where the problem lies. And they come to me and they complain, well, he's not getting to play. He's not, it doesn't matter. Why is he not getting to play? Well, it's all politics. No, he's not good enough.
Right.
He's not good enough right now.
Right.
But he can be. He can be. It's not like he's not good enough as a human being. He's not good enough in this skill of baseball. We've had these conversations.
Yeah, you and I have these conversations. Yeah.
And let's make it where it's a no doubter.
Right.
Because most of these coaches are trying to keep their job for the most part, and they have to win at some capacity, or at least you think they would want to.
So one of the things that, if people don't follow your social media is where you got to follow. There's the Dustin Mosley page, but then there's the D Money page.
I know, I need some new ones on it.
Man, you got to come up with some new ones, because sometimes I'll watch them and I'm going, D Money. What? You walk in, he's got a Yankees hat on, he's got 2 or 3 jerseys on. He goes, oh, Judge gave me this. Hold it. And then he throws 95 and says, hold on. Mickey Cabrera gave me this. Hold this. Where does that alter ego come from?
Well, you have to. I've always been kind of a people-pleasing mentality. The way I was raised, the way my dad was on me, I was always trying to keep him happy. And so that kind of just carries on the rest of your life. So when you would step across those lines, you had to find something to be somebody at that level, right? And so for me, it started back in, I think, 03 or 04. I just made a couple funny videos, and it was like, this is how I think when I'm on the field. Like, I don't talk to anybody about it, but when I get out there, like, I think I'm better than you, Like,
well, you almost have to have that mentality.
Right, but when I step over the lines, you've known me, like, I don't ever talk about what I've done or what I've accomplished.
Right.
It's not my thing. Like, I'd rather just be with my hat down and people come up and say something. That's
cool.
If
they know you. Yeah.
If they know me, that's cool. But that's my whole thing is just to do it the right way and stay focused on what we need to do.
All right, so now you come up with pro boards.
Yep.
Tell me about pro boards. Can we get Dean? I know we can pull that up. Tell me about pro boards.
You probably have to go to Instagram on that one. The website's it's not finished yet. It's close.
Pro board. I've seen
with
this.
a Z.
Pro boards with a Z.
Yeah.
I've seen this, and I'm trying to figure out what these pro boards are.
Yeah. Well, they're going to be in every house in the country.
At Pro Boards.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's it.
I got to see this.
Let me make sure I'm sharing a screen.
No, that's not that one. It's going to be PRO and like 2 underscores boards. We're trying to get that one from this dude that has.
Really?
Oh yeah, he's got 0 posts.
Yeah. So he just has it just to keep you guys from getting
PRO underscore.
He had it before. Yeah. I think there's maybe 2 underscores. There it is right there.
Right there. Right here?
Keep going, one more.
Oh yeah.
Boom.
That one's. Oh, y'all have 2.
So
All right, I'm gonna share a screen.
So pro boards, we're seeing it. Look at your click.
It's cool. Yeah.
So pro board, tell me about pro boards and why is this so effective?
What is the product?
So what it is it's a training board, as you can see right there, and you can take it anywhere and everywhere. I've packaged it where it comes with.
Is this the product here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
It comes with all these different bands, attachments.
Oh, it's right here too.
Yep.
Okay.
That's a video. One of those are a video somewhere. Yeah.
Oh,
there's
this
a
is a video
right there.
Yeah. So you can
Gotta see this.
Do you want to play?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just hit play, man. So I'm trying to now take me through this. This is all on the board.
To sled, you can push it, you can pull it, you can do vertical work with a big board right there.
And this is another one of your inventions.
Yes, sir.
It's gonna be pretty big, man.
Yeah.
So do these
boards.
attach the bungees right here, I guess.
So you take the cords and put them anywhere.
Yeah, and those bands, you can double them up, you can quadruple them up,
Right.
You can do anything. So they give you different levels of resistance.
Right. Now tell me why the bands are so important for baseball.
But the bands are just resistance,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you don't carry dumbbells around with you. They're lightweight. You can throw them in a
can't do that,
bag.
yeah.
That's the thing. So what the problem is that I've had 4 surgeries, and so when I got home, I was like, I'm gonna lift like I've never lifted before.
Right.
I did, but I hurt all the time.
Yeah.
I'm lifting
I'm
heavy
sore
and doing
now.
this kind of stuff. So everybody will tell you, these are the things you need to do. It's great for your health, whatever it is. Well, maybe for you.
Right.
But for me, I got to find a different way of resistance because it's making my joints hurt. It's making my hip that I had a hip surgery. It's making
Right.
my shoulders. I've had 2 shoulder surgeries. So I started incorporating the bands. Well, next thing you know, like aesthetically, my body's starting to change for the better.
Right.
And I'm like, this is interesting,
Yeah.
right? But the thing about the bands, you can't cheat the bands. when you get to the top of a bench press and you have bands on it, you don't want to pause up top.
Right.
You want to get down.
Yeah.
Right? And when you come down, because the bands are going to, it's like, it's like a rubber band. It's like it's elasticity, right? When you come down, you got to control it. If you don't, and you try to bounce off your chest, not only do you have the weight on the ends, you also got the resistance of those bands pulling down. So now you start to, that eccentric piece, the negative, you start to control it better. Right. The other thing is when you're using these, especially on the board, the core activation, because most all this stuff is standing. So your core is having to work as you're doing a bicep curl. Right. You can't use your back and things like that. You could, but you don't want to. You don't want to. Okay. And so I tell a lot of people is that we're not looking for weights. We're looking for resistance. You could have a pitcher of water. That's resistance if you try to pick it up. Right. It's water. It's not weights. But the ego wants weights because that way you can say, well, what do you squat? I squat 405. I don't care what you squat. I want to know, are you explosive? Right. Do you feel good? And can you move well? If those are the cases, if those are the three things that we're looking for, then we're going to keep kids healthy. We're going to help people get them motivated. A lot of people are intimidated by the gym, right? They see a guy like me, they're like, oh, I bet he's a douchebag, right?
6'4",
230, got a mohawk. Yeah, he's a douche, right? So those are the things that and it intimidates people. And once you get to know me, you'll realize that I don't pose as that guy, right? But what I want people to do is move. The whole reason I created that was to keep my 8 to 11-year-olds and my Proformance workouts in one place and keep them focused so they could go from one exercise to the next. Connect one band to there, and now we're rolling. Next thing you know, this thing started going, okay, if I put a back to it, I can use it as a sled. Right. Oh, if I put them here, it offsets where now it pulls me back into my squat. Oh, if I make a big one, Vertimaxes are $4,000. I can turn this into a Vertimax by putting sandbags on the end to keep it on the floor.
So is elasticity better than weight?
I think so. Yeah.
So people are going to stop. The gym's going to stop. You can actually get a pro board and work out at the house.
I think I wasted about $100,000 in equipment that I could have just bought a ton of bands.
Well, you didn't say what are these pro boards cost?
So the pro boards, the long board there you saw on that one, that's the one we recommend for everybody. It's $249 with the total package.
So there's different ones.
Yeah. So we have that one, and we have a mega board. If you click out of that. Go up to the top right there, that PTI. We did that for Physical Therapy Institute. Top right. There's a video.
The third one right there.
This one? Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, because that one looks like
Watch this right here. So that now we've just got weights on the edge. You use sandbags. It's a Vertimax.
Oh, whoa.
Do vertical work.
What is it? Is there two of those? What's it? No. Okay, so there's two, and then what's the front? Oh, it's a weight.
We just got a demo. He put that on the front because he said his daughter's a high-level volleyball player. Wanted to pull her forward a little bit for a little more trunk control.
That's interesting, and I guess you sell the belt as well.
Yeah, so that mega board is $399, and we can customize. It's an additional cost, but you see he's got the logo. We did the logos on there. We did everything, but it comes with everything. It comes with handles, a straight bar attachment, yellow bands, red bands, black bands. It comes with our hip bands. Yeah. There's about $250 worth of just retail bands, and you get everything for $399.
And you can actually take that to the house and work out. At the house,
I could crush you if you can work out with me. That's what you'll be on.
See, I talked to him about working out. But he's up at 5:30, so that's about bedtime.
You do like the David Goggins? You take a picture of your clock 4:30 every morning.
No, I do like Goggins stuff though. I'm working on his book right now.
Nice.
You just gotta create a routine. Yeah. For me, I mean, you only really need about 6 hours of sleep. Cool. And obviously people say, well, I need 8. Arnold said, "Sleep faster," right? So it's like if you want to do a whole lot of work, if you want to get a lot of stuff, I've got so many things. I got a book on my mind that I want to write called "The Broken Athlete." I want to tell the story that I've never told about the things and the thoughts that you have as an athlete when you go through with these injuries. Yeah, I lost my dad at 21. And that was a really raw. I don't mind talking about it now, but that was super raw that I pushed to the back because the way it happened and. There's a lot of things, but for athletes, what people see and the way the media make us out to be is that they'll show Lamar Odom when he gets in trouble, right?
Right, but won't show Lamar Odom.
They won't show him when he gave away hundreds of thousands of dollars doing nice things, but he may not talk about it. There's a lot of stuff. I give stuff away all the time. I don't talk about it. I don't have to talk about it. In my opinion, if you're doing it for the right reasons, you don't talk about it. But there's a lot of stuff that he did in the community. There's a lot of things all over the place that people could come tell the stories on, but they don't want to tell that story. Right. But the other thing is this. Think about it this way. Lamar Odom, from what I know of him and following, being a basketball fan, is that he liked candy. Like he would eat candy all the time, right? Like that was his vice, he says, right? Maybe there's more, I don't know. But seeing his story and the success he had in his career and the longevity he had, and then all of a sudden this happens in his life. Well, what happened was, in my opinion, is that when you get out of the game, you can't fulfill that emotional piece that's happening, right? Where you're excited, you're pissed because you didn't do well, you're anxious, you're pumped, you just signed a contract. There's always emotions, right? And so how do you fulfill playing in front of 10, 15, 20,000 people like he did on a regular basis to then becoming just a normal person? Well, what do people do?
Where's that rush come from?
Okay, it usually comes from alcohol, drugs, gambling, women, right? Well, what happens when it happens to people who their career ends not on their own terms, but they get hurt like me? Well, luckily I poured all my time and energy into Proformance and having a good foundation, but there were a lot of things through the midst of everything, of thoughts that I had and all kinds of stuff that I've never really talked about, because guess what? No one cares. They say, you made money? Whatever. Well, why are you unhappy? Man, because my whole life I wanted to be a big leaguer, and now I can't do that anymore. So there's a part for these young athletes is that we want to create that the culture of Proformance isn't just baseball. The platform is baseball. It's about, hey, creating goals, creating plans, attacking them, working your butt off, and then whatever you do for the rest of your life. I did it in baseball. Now I'm doing it in business. Like, those are the pieces that you have to do. And if you do those things and stay committed to it, even when you feel yourself coming off, you pull yourself back in, you're going to be successful.
So you think I wanted to get into this real quick. So you think is the media unfair to athletes?
Correct.
You think so? Tell me, as a guy in the media, tell me what we should do different that we're not doing.
Well, listen, man, we're human beings, right?
Right.
So if you personally don't like me, you'll write a story that's biased.
Right. Or I may say some things. I always tell this. I will say this. I always tell this story. There were guys when I was doing sports, if I couldn't get that interview, or if you didn't give me that personal one-on-one, well, then I may not say the big things about you. If you hit 2 3-pointers and you took 3, that's 66%, 2 out of 3. So instead of saying, man, Dustin Mosley hit 66% from the field tonight, I may just say, well, he only hit 2 3-pointers tonight.
That's right.
So I may not. So I will say we have a tendency to do that if we can't get that interview.
That's right, because it's personal. Right?
It becomes personal.
You take it personal.
Right.
Right, where that person may just not have time. Maybe they don't like the media. They feel they may say something wrong, right?
Right.
You saw Marshawn Lynch just didn't do it, right? They keep twisting his words. He's like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to let him make me look like I'm stupid, right?
Right.
And so that's the part of it where the media. I was there in New York. I was there when they would come up and ask you questions, try to bait you into something.
The Yankees.
Yeah, and you did
for the Yankees.
But they taught us in spring training how to answer questions. I can answer your questions by never answering your question.
Really?
Yeah.
What do they say? Did you hear about?
If you don't like the question, don't answer it. Just talk about something else.
Wow.
Because you don't have a right to get an answer from me. Right?
I have a right to ask the question.
You have an answer to ask a question, but you don't have to get the answer that you want.
Right.
I control that.
Right.
And by me controlling that, if you like me, the media can make some guys that I've heard about and played with look great. Yeah. And then I know that they're not so great. Right. But they treat the media well, and they give the media what they want.
That's true. I will give you that one.
Right.
I mean, because Darren McFadden, I'll never forget this when he was in college. Darren McFadden always granted me interviews. I could see him in the mall. He talked to me. I never had a problem with him. So when there was negative things and people had negative things to say or bad things, they'd be like, "Well, you're going to report on this?" No, because I like him. Because I like Darren.
That's right.
But there were people I didn't like.
But that's the thing that people can't see. That's the thing where I talk at home and I talk to other people too. I have Instagram.
Right.
And I have Instagram. Right. And I'm getting better and better with trying to not. A lot of it is our opinion and like how we see the world, right? And it's based off our experiences. So you have to respect other people's experiences. But there's no news media on my thing. We don't watch it at the house.
Really?
No.
You don't watch the news?
No, because when all that stuff was going on with the election with Trump, right? All that stuff was coming in. I saw how much it affected everyone around me. Yeah. It even started to affect me a little bit. And I said, I don't
want this negative energy.
I'm out, man, because everywhere I go in the city, I open doors for people, I speak to people, and they reciprocate it. Right? Doesn't matter what they look like, where they came from, it's reciprocated. And if it's not, I don't think, oh, it's because of this. I think to myself, they're having a bad day. Maybe they found their mom was sick. Or there's a lot of things that we don't know, but we want to pass judgment pretty quickly. Right? I talk to all about it. If you're close to me, I'll say today's day and age with sports and everything else, we're in a society of such tribalism that if I'm a Christian person and someone else is a Christian person that could be whatever, could be Joel Osteen, right? I'm going to defend Joel Osteen even though I know what he did wasn't right because I'm a Christian. Where no, I'm looking at it like, no, you shouldn't have done that. Right? You're a sinful man. You're broken as well as I am. I'm not going to align with that. People are aligning in so many different pieces. Tribalism. That's why I'm saying I'm out. I'm out. In ideology, I'm out. Like, why do I have to be? I'm in the South, right? So why do I have to drive? I'm a white kid, so why do I have to drive a jacked up truck, listen to country music, be a Republican, go to church every day? If I want to, I will. But I don't have to be that.
It doesn't have to be.
And listen, and I don't have to wear camouflage every day.
Dean, I've seen his cars and trucks. Trust me, he drives different. And he listens to different music.
No, I'm open to everything. But that's how I grew up. I grew up in a very diverse community, so I was around a lot of different people. My high schools and everything else. So my perspective and my experience in life is going to be different from other people. So I'm going to respect yours, but respect mine too, because I know what it takes to get out of where I came from. In my little city, when I took my son to look at it, he's like, that's a house, Dad.
That's a house.
Right? I said, yes, sir.
But not anything he knows.
I saw people be successful, and I saw people. We had one of the guys, our friends 4 years ago, got shot and killed in a drug deal, right? So we all grew up and hung out together, but he went a different way, and some of us went a different way. And a lot of it had to do with the parenting strategy. Right?
Gotcha.
And so all those things is when kids come talk to me, they want to open up to me about stuff. I just say, listen, man, here is the path. Right? It's a very small path, but this will lead to your success. But you can't care what other people think and are going to try to keep you down, because sometimes your own family, friends, close friends, you start growing away from them because they really don't want you to succeed. They'll tell you they do, but they really don't.
They'll show you they don't. They'll tell you they do.
That's right. Actions, not words.
Exactly.
So all that is why I've just removed any of those pieces, because it's they can manipulate so easy. Well, I mean, what are they going to report on, man? They report on the stuff that sells. It's money. Everything's driven off the money. Maybe not local news, but the big news. Like every time me and Carly went to get a manicure, pedicure, we took Avery over there, whatever else, and it was on CNN. The only thing that I saw the entire 30 minutes, I couldn't hear it. All I saw, Trump, 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 Trump.
Nothing else.
That's all that's going on?
Nothing else.
That's all that's going on.
Well, hey, let me say this. I will defend the media on this.
Okay.
So here's what I remember. I remember being at THV. I remember we put it on our page, on our web page, all the Arkansas Razorback news, all the UAPB news, all the A-State news, all Arkansas Tech, all the Henderson State, OB. So we've monitored that traffic. So if you're monitoring traffic, you're finding out what people who watch you, what they want to see.
That's right.
If everybody is monitoring, if we see a huge amount of traffic go through Arkansas Tech, guess what we're going to start doing?
Arkansas Tech.
Covering Arkansas Tech.
The data proves it.
The data proves it. Yep. So a lot of times with media, especially, I'm not a big CNN fan. I just don't think you should beat the dead horse over and over and over again.
Right.
So, but a lot of times with news,
and not picking on them, all the news does it.
All the news does.
Yeah.
But a lot of times with the news, man, that's what people are tuning in to see. So they're not tuning in to see great stories. Now, local news will tell great stories if you can find people who will do it. If you can find somebody around Lamar Odom that will show us Lamar Odom giving out gifts, doing something nice with people, man, we cover it.
Right.
The problem is, like you said, a Lamar Odom may not want you to know he does that. They may not want you to know he paid for this.
That's right.
I heard a few years ago when the Chicago team won the Little League World Series. I heard a story about how the parents of the Chicago kids, they were all black. I heard a story about how the parents couldn't get to Williamsport. So a lot of black Major League Baseball players pooled their money and made sure that they could fly, got all the families there and back.
Right.
You never heard about the players.
Right.
I know Rollins was one. I know Torrey was one. But you never heard about the players because they didn't want you to know that.
No.
That would have been a great story if they'd have wanted to tell the story. I knew because I knew some of the people who were involved.
Right.
But so a lot of times the good stories no one wants to tell. So that's to defend the media. that's one of the things we can't do because no one wants to tell that story.
Right.
So
yeah,
I will say this, but we do have a tendency to beat the dead horse, and I hate that. I hate looking at TV and seeing the same thing over and over again.
For sure. Yeah. Yep.
Dustin Mosley, man, thanks a lot, brother.
I appreciate you having me.
You ever beamed a player on purpose?
I have.
Dude, it's a weapon, man. You know you're throwing 93,
Why
94. Why do you do that?
Why do you do it?
What's that?
Is it you just don't like him, or
It's time. It's the rules.
What's the decision making process for I'm going to hit this guy?
Let's see.
For me in my career, it was really sometimes it was just out of frustration, right? Like if they're just tearing me apart, I'm gonna try to set the tone a little bit. Maybe that'll like get them to okay.
Throw inside a couple of times.
Oh man, he's gonna hit somebody. He's gonna try to hurt somebody because he's mad out there.
Yeah.
And then other times, just when you feel like people were showing you up, then you might stick one in the numbers.
Wow. Yeah. And you didn't care.
I mean, what? It's baseball, you know.
You don't want a Robin Ventura, what's his name, Nolan Ryan situation.
I mean, luckily I didn't have anybody charge the mound on me or anything.
Yeah. See, I couldn't do that because if it's me, I'm taking the bat with me.
Yeah,
that's probably not a good thing to do, but you know.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of these position players think pitchers are weak. Like they don't think they.
So they think they can go
sometimes,
out there. Yeah, but you don't want to run up on a guy that's 6'4", 230.
You wouldn't think so.
Appreciate it, brother.
Appreciate it.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right.